Alrighty, this is Gabi again, and yep, you can read it. We have a little bonus. I'm really short on video budget at this point, but I was able to bribe our video taker with a pizza from Little Caesars so that we can squeeze in this bonus message.
Is that pizza? Yes!
There's one stitch that I really wanted to get into this weave and stitch along, but I constantly ran out of time. This is like, it was too much, it was too long, it was what have you. But I really don't want to come to an end on this weave and stitch along without doing it. Several of you already know the stitch and have used it. It's such a beautiful stitch called the French knot. And the French knot can be used either to cover areas like this, or what, as you have seen it in other people's work, it makes a great addition or accent on flowers. So I want to squeeze in the French knot for you, and I decided to make a little sheep to practice the French knot. This is not my idea. If you go on to, even if you just Google it, a lot of people make those little sheep made of French knot. It's just a perfect practicing ground, because the French knot is not a beginner stitch, but you know, once by now you definitely have enough skills to get it done. Let me just quickly show you here in my super smart book. There is the French knot, and you see here the needle, it's coming up to the top, and then it's wiggling around the working thread. And then we go back, here is where you go back down, and that makes all those little knots here. Let's take a look at how this works. I have chosen, today we will be working on the Zoom loom, and I have chosen the bone color so that we can make a pretty white sheep. Please feel free to choose any color that you wish for the fabric as well as your sheep. So here's our example. I will make a white sheep, and we will use, I'm using Caron Simply Soft for the fabric and for the embroidery. I do recommend that you use a little bit of a thicker yarn for that, particularly for practicing and also to fill in the area of the sheep a little bit sooner. I will use 2 lengths of our famous ruler, which is about 24 inches, and we thread one end. The material is very much the same that we always use. Thread one end and make a slip knot, and it really absolutely does not matter where you start. I will just put it over here in the middle on the right side, and then I'll bring the working yarn to the back of the fabric. The other thing here for our little sheep, since it's the lost sheep, it does really absolutely not matter where you position it. So I suggest you just come up anywhere near the center of your fabric. Okay? And let me see if I can show you this like this. Can we actually zoom in, please? Thank you. This way I can show you while holding it and while having it here, because you probably need both hands for this. Here is the trick. Hold down taut the yarn with one hand, and then with the needle you wrap the yarn twice around your needle. Can you see this? No, you can't because it's too dark. Let me see if I can pick this up and show you this way. So with your needle, wrap the yarn twice around your needle, and then you pull it in a little bit like this, and then you go down to about the same hole that you came up. If you go down the same hole, your knot might sink in. And I'll just show you. Let's just finish one dot. There's a lot to show here, so I will just show you. So here we're going down, and then you pull it in, and that's actually already all there is to it. Okay, so let's do that one more time, and we stay nearby. So I just come up somewhere else. I do suggest at this point that you pierce through the thread if you can. So here's where we want to come up. And then, let me see if I can hold this like this. You hold the thread with one hand, with your left hand. Hold it tight, not too tight. And then 1, 2 times around the needle. And pull it in a little bit and go down through the same or about the same hole. Okay? Here we go. Here's another French knot. Here are a few things that I want to show you. So just come up somewhere. I do recommend that you pierce the thread. Let me show you at one time. Here is, I make a big hole. Okay, can you see this? Right here, and I'm coming up through this rather big hole. Okay, and I do make a proper, let's see if I can show you this way. 1, 2, okay, and I pull it in a little bit, and I go back through the same hole. Okay, remember I came up through a big hole. So if I now pull down my French knot, whoops, it pulls through the fabric. Probably couldn't see that. Let me see if I can rescue that. There we go. So here's your French knot in the making. Okay, and if you now pull too much, your French knot will go through the fabric. That's why I want you to pierce the thread to make one. Okay, so here one more time, we come up, hold with one hand, 1, 2, pull it tight, and go close, go back down close to the same hole to make your French knot. Here you go. All right. Now here is one very common problem. You come up, okay, and then you do 1, 2, and you go down through the same hole, and you pull and pull and pull, and it's gone. What happened? I'll show you. Let me show you again. Coming up, I'm not sure if you saw what I did wrong. This is where the thread comes up, and it goes this way, okay? And what I did was I wrapped it around going back, okay? That is not enough. The needle has to come up again. That's how I remember it. So the thread comes up this way, and then the working needle comes up this way. Okay? So the needle goes into the same direction as the thread came up. And I'll show you this a few more times so that it makes more sense. Okay, so, and then this makes a real knot like this. Okay, so I show you again. Here comes the thread, and it comes up, and then the same direction. So let me see if I can show you this. That the thread came up is how the needle will go around. So it's like the needle comes out again from the thread, and that's when you wrap it. Once, twice, pull it a little bit, and bring it back to the hole. All right. Here you go. All right. So here's another thing that you can practice while you make your sheep. You come up, pierce. Remember to hold the needle properly. Once, twice. And I want you to practice. Pull a little bit tighter before you go down. Okay? If you pull tighter, it makes a smaller knot. Okay? I probably have enough yarn for one more. So this is why I think those sheep are the perfect practicing ground, because the starting ones like here were a little bit bigger by intention, and we can make another big one now. So you come up, hold the yarn once, twice, and now you don't pull it that closely before you go under. See, that makes a little bit bigger one. Okay, at this point I will just start another thread because I do want to finish making a sheep here. For the sheep here on the hexagon, I made about 10 French knots. I suggest that 10 should be the minimum. Probably a dozen sounds good to me. And it's a really good practice, and you can't really go wrong with that. So start somewhere in the middle, and then work about 10 to 12 of those French knots. And make the shape. You can make it just all round or make it a little bit oval. Wherever you feel like coming up next, just come up like this. Okay, and then hold the working thread. 1, 2, pull it tight a little bit, and I will just show you here. Go down close to where you came up and gently pull it in until the knot forms. Here we go. I think we should probably put one right here. Hold the thread. 1, 2. Pull it tight a little bit, not too much, because we want it to be a little bit puffy for the sheep. But experiment. Make some really tight and see if you can make some more loosely. Here we go. This one is a very fluffy one. All right. So let's make one over here. One, 2. Pull it tight and go down. So our lost sheep makes the perfect practicing ground. Okay, I think I want to make one more right here. Hold it tight. 1, 2. It doesn't matter whether you put it in clockwise or counterclockwise. We go down through the same hole that we came up. And pull it tight. I think I want to make one more right here. That gives us a nice oval. So this will be our last stitch right here. One, two around the needle, pull it tight, find the hole where you came up, and that's where you want to go down. And pull it down. Okay, let's just bring that white thread anywhere out, and want to quickly work the head and some little feet. You can see the feet here are just 4 short straight stitches, and you can use any yarn. I have some this is soft secret, but you can use embroidery floss or any yarn that you have at hand. If you have only embroidery floss, you might want to double it. So you don't really need much. I forgot to measure, so it's probably, I would do about 18 inches, and then we anchor it here near the head somewhere. And I made the head out of 2, where do we put the head? Right here. French knots. So bring it to the top, and then here, oh, this is much better to see in this lighting. Okay, so we come up, remember to pierce the thread somewhere, and then 1, 2. You can wrap more often. You can wrap 3 times if you want them bigger. 2 wraps seems to be kind of the common grounds for the French knot, but there's really no strict rule. If you want to make them a little bit bigger, try wrapping it 3 times, okay? Okay, here is 1, and I think I make one really close to that so that the head comes out a little bit bigger. All right, so we come up, hold the thread, 1, 2, pull it in a little bit, and then you go down through the same hole right here and pull it down tight. I think we need one more for that sheep. One, 2, and that's the little bit the annoying or tricky thing. You know, that to get the yarn in the right direction is essential, but it also likes to tangle up and get stuck on the pins. Here we go. That looks good enough for a head, doesn't it? All right, let's give it some feet, and the feet are now super easy. You are now experts in straight stitches, so just make 4 straight stitches at the bottom somewhere. There's 1. And there's another one. And then we work on the back legs too. Three. And 4. Well, that looks a little bit awkward. Let's make that one step over. Here we go. That looks much better. All right, and then you can bring it out to the side, or you can just let it tangle on the back, because at this point your sheep is all done, and you can take everything off the loom and weave in the ends. And here is your lost sheep and its little friend right here. And that was the bonus French knot, the last stitch of our weave and stitch along. So thank you very much. I'm looking forward to see some lost sheep on Facebook and on Ravelry. And next week will be our last week where we put everything together, and you may opt to add the little sheep as well. Thank you very much. Auf Wiedersehen.